I'm so excited! Hello and welcome to What's with People with Doc Locke. I'm Dr. Stephanie Lockbuehler, social psychologist and purveyor of profanity. The goal of these videos is to give mini lessons on phenomena, theories, and topics in social psychology, which is the scientific study of the way that people think about, influence, and relate to others. Or, in other words, it's the science of why the fuck are people like that? This video focuses on the question, what's with people comparing themselves to others? It's like bad to do that, right? It's actually a very normal thing that we do that's quite useful. Have you noticed a theme yet? So while we've all heard the adage, don't compare yourself to others, as like a warning for how it might make us feel like shit about ourselves, they're not necessarily wrong, but here's the thing. It's much more complicated than that. I'm addicted to reality TV. Like seriously, if there was a 12-step program for it, I would need to go. And I'd stand in front of everyone and I'd be like, hi, my name is Stephanie and I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to fucking win. Look, I'm not ashamed of my love for these shows, nor should anyone be, because it's an extremely popular genre of television, and for a reason. We like watching people, or I should say that we like judging people, am I right? Especially with the goal of comparing ourselves to them. In fact, it's said that up to 10% of our thoughts are dedicated to some kind of comparison. That's because it does have a purpose. This is what social comparison theory is. It's comparing ourselves to others to get an accurate evaluation of ourselves. For example, if I wanted to know how good I am at singing, you are beautiful no matter what they say, then I'd probably want to compare myself to other people in order to get an idea of how good I am at singing. Of course, that also depends on who I compare myself to. Research shows that if you compare yourself to people who are either very good or very bad, you'll see yourself in the opposite way. Like if I compare myself to Christina Aguilera, I'm gonna think that I suck ass. But if I compare myself to Gilbert Gottfried, I'm gonna think I'm like super amazing. Gilbert Gottfried? This is called a contrast effect, when this kind of extreme comparison results in a self-evaluation on the other end of the spectrum. But if I want to get an accurate idea of how good I am, I should compare myself to similar others, like someone who is kinda good or kinda bad, which will make my opinion of my own abilities move only slightly in the same direction. This is called assimilation effect. If somebody said to me, you're beautiful no matter what they say, I'd be like, what the fuck are they saying about me? Another reason we compare ourselves to others is to evaluate how our opinions match up with others so we can show solidarity with them and in turn feel more connected with them. As humans, we want people to like us. Remember? Watch for more. So when we discover that others' opinions are similar to ours, we may actually express even stronger opinions to show others that we belong. Oh my God, I love it too. Probably more than you though. But even though we have the goal to be like others and fit in with them, we also have the goal of being unique, particularly in Western cultures. When children are asked to write down descriptions of themselves, they often mention things that make them similar to others, but they also write things down that make them unusual within their friends or family, like being left-handed or having pink hair or having a snake as a pet. Snakes as pets are bad. Why would you have a snake for a pet? So we don't just compare ourselves to find ways to fit in with others. We are also motivated to be distinct. Optimal distinctiveness theory, you down with ODT? Yeah, you know me, states that we are motivated to try and maintain a perfect balance of fitting in with others, but also being unique. And if we're in situations where we feel we have too much of one of these things, we take action to try and increase the other, to like balance that shit out. So for example, in recent studies, they had college students take a personality test and then they gave them fake feedback about their personality, telling them that they were either very similar to other college students or that they were very different from other college students. What happens is that those who were made to feel too similar to other college students, they were motivated to describe themselves in ways that differentiated themselves from other college students. And when they were made to feel that they were very different from other college students, they were motivated to try and describe themselves in ways where they were similar to the group. This is because, according to social identity theory, we often choose to define ourselves by the social groups that we belong to. When asked to describe themselves, people will probably list a bunch of different qualities about themselves, but they will often also describe themselves by the different groups that they belong to, like occupation, or what school they go to, or what gender they identify with, or political affiliation, or whether they're hashtag Team Denise or hashtag Team Brandy. I don't know who to believe, because those group memberships also shape how they perceive themselves. For example, when I introduce myself in each video, I say that I'm a social psychologist and cuss word connoisseur, F-word fanatic, purveyor of profanity. What I'm doing is I'm describing myself by two different groups of people that I belong to: social psychologists and lovers of lewd language. Ooh, I should use that. But what this does is two things. By identifying with social psychologists, I fit in with others that are academics and experts in people science. But with the other one, it helps to differentiate me from the normal idea of what an academic acts like or talks like. Or think about emo kids. Identifying with this group helps them to fit in with other emo kids, but it also allows them to be different from others in their age group. In other words, social identities help us with the goal of fitting in with others and yet also to be different at the same time. And we can only know if we fit in or if we're different by comparing ourselves to others. We also do it to feel better about ourselves and to boost our ego. Comparing ourselves to people who are worse than we are, or what is called a downward comparison, can make us feel pretty good about our abilities or our situation. Maybe that's why we like shows that generally focus primarily on how unintelligent or poor, unattractive, or troubled other people are, like Hoarders or My Strange Addiction or Jerry Springer or Honey Boo Boo and Teen Mom. On the other hand, we can engage in upward comparisons, or when we compare ourselves to the best of the best, so that we can dream of getting to that point one day, and it can be inspiring. Upward comparison television shows focus on success and wealth and intelligence and attractiveness and good fortune of others. And examples of these kinds of television shows might be Keeping Up with the Kardashians, RIP to that show, man, Selling Sunset, MTV Cribs, or Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, or Real Housewives. Though, to be honest, I think the appeal to some of these shows is both upward and downward comparison. Like, yeah, these people have a lot of money and fancy shit, but man, are they shallow or dumb or rude or all of the above. So, like, double bonus, right? Some people think that I'm a bitch. At the end of the day, it's night. I fucking hate myself for that too, don't worry. Research also shows that comparing yourself to superstars and celebrities can make us feel worse about ourselves or make us feel inferior. Studies have also shown that the difference between upward comparisons making us feel good about ourselves versus making us feel worse has to do with, one, how relevant the person is to us, and two, how attainable we feel their ability or status is for ourselves. The way that people view themselves is affected only when the celebrity or the superstar's domain of excellence is relevant to themselves, and the stars were inspiring and made people feel good when their success seemed attainable, in that people either felt like they still had enough time to achieve the same kind of a success, or they believed that they could get their own abilities to eventually get to that point. But if the superstar's ability or talent was relevant to the person, but they felt like the star's success was unattainable, either because they felt they already missed the chance to achieve the same success, or because they viewed their abilities as not getting any better, the superstar's success made them feel shittier about themselves. And if it wasn't relevant to them at all, they weren't really affected. But besides superstars and celebrities, we also often compare ourselves to people close to us in our daily lives, like friends and family and coworkers and people that are just similar to us, which also has an impact on how our self-esteem is affected. According to the self-evaluation maintenance model, when someone close to us does well, we also get a boost to our self-esteem by basking in reflected glory, but only when the person is close to us and performs well on a task that is not important to our own selves. But when somebody close to us does well on a task that is important to our own self-esteem, we end up feeling bad about ourselves because it makes us question and doubt our own abilities. In other words, when a family member or a friend or someone just similar to us does well on something that is important to how we feel about ourselves, we feel threatened. But if they do well on something that doesn't really matter to how we see ourselves, we feel good or proud, or if they're not really close to us at all, it really doesn't do shit to us personally. So for example, if a sibling does really well on a task that doesn't matter to you personally, like farting the alphabet, you end up feeling proud of them and you get a boost to your own self-esteem. Good job, honey! You're doing great! But if your sibling does well on a task that matters to you a lot, like ghost pepper eating contest, you're gonna feel a little burned by that. Fucking terrible. The self-evaluation maintenance model also discusses the methods people will use to keep them from feeling bad about themselves in these circumstances, like convincing themselves that they aren't actually close to the person. My sister was probably adopted anyway, right? Fuck her, I'm not like her, we're different. Or spending less time with that person to reduce the closeness. I don't even know her. Or convincing themselves that the task wasn't really relevant to them. Or by taking on a new task, like a Tide Pod eating contest. Or even by sabotage. I'm gonna sneak some little Carolina Reapers in her jar. That'll get her. And her butthole. Fire in the hole, am I right? Gonna hurt your ass. So depending on the relevance, the attainability, and the closeness of the person to ourselves, and the direction of the comparison, and the polarity of the comparison, and even personality differences, comparisons can have positive outcomes, like help us to maintain positive self-esteem, or give us a boost to our ego, or help us to gain an accurate evaluation of ourselves. But when taken to the extreme, and coupled with toxic thinking patterns, they can also have destructive results like lying, or disordered thinking, or disordered eating. So yes, it's important to be aware of the impact that comparisons can have on yourself to make sure that they aren't going down a negative path. But it's also very important to note that it's extremely common, that we all do this, and generally with very useful results. I mean, if I didn't have comparisons, look, I'd probably end up one of those American Idol audition fails. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. This is my hair, I don't wear wigs. I need to shut the fuck up. Hello! Funkity funk funk, funkity funk funk, look at dog walk go. I'm old. You tricky social psychologist. I'm old. Like seriously old. Sabotage!